Hello and welcome to the Kilimanjaro webinar with Mountain Travel Sobek that's going to be focusing on our September 17th Giving Back trip. Okay, my name is Tanya Rinaldi and I'm the Africa Program Director here at Mountain Travel Sobek. I've been with Mountain Travel Sobek for over 6 years now, working with our Africa team, and I've also been up Kilimanjaro 9 times, so I really want to, give you a little bit of my personal experience on the mountain, as well as explaining why Mountain Travel Sobek should be the option you choose to climb Kilimanjaro. But first of all, we are going to talk about our September 17th departure, which is our Giving Back program, which we've dedicated to the COCOBA organization that really gives back to the Tanzania women. So we're really focusing on giving back to the communities that we work in and that we have our clients visit. So basically 10% of the land cost is going to go for this one departure in September to the COCOBA, which is a community conservation banking trust that helps the Tanzanian Maasai women open up small businesses that can give back to their own community as well by working in and selling the local arts and crafts to the local tourists that do come in. So it is a very great organization that we're really happy to be supporting and be able to give back to the communities that we do work in. Okay, so Kilimanjaro, it's the rooftop of Africa, and it's also classed as a non-technical climb, which basically means you don't need ropes or anything like that, but still, it shouldn't be underestimated because it is a challenging climb. As you can see in this picture, this is one of the 5 climate zones that you will find throughout Kilimanjaro. Basically, you start off with the rainforest, then you go into the heath climate zone, and then the moorlands climate zone, the alpine desert zone, and then the Arctic zone. So there is a number of different, climate zones that you will get to experience throughout the climb. And that's just one example of the terrain that you will be going through on this trip. Okay, people always, the biggest question we get: why travel with Mountain Travel Sobek to Kilimanjaro? Well, basically, with Kilimanjaro, we've been doing this for over 45 years. So we know the mountain, we know what, we can help, the best ways of getting our clients up there safely. And so when you are climbing one of the biggest mountains in the world, the company you choose must prioritize safety above everything else. This is why you can really trust Mountain Travel Sobek. Our guides are professionally trained, they know these mountains, they've been working with us for many years. They actually do a lot of the training for a lot of other companies on the mountain. With safety gear, we do carry oxygen for emergency uses only. We have the Guyon bags, which basically, if we need to use them to take someone down the mountain, we can. We have everything sort of when it comes to first aid training. We even demonstrate this on the mountain with our guests so they can see what we have done and what we can do if necessary. Acclimatization knowledge is huge, because this is the one big issue on when you climb Kilimanjaro is the altitude. We have our first couple of nights we stay in our Arusha camp, which is in Arusha National Park, which gives you about 6,000 feet elevation gain. So it's a nice way to spend the first couple of nights in there to get over your jet lag, get used to the time change, and to do a small acclimatization hike around the waterfalls of Mount Meru there before actually starting our trip on day 3. We also build in an extra day at Aero Camp just to give you an extra sort of a rest, which is a huge benefit for us, is to be able to do that. Also, our equipment. We have the very best equipment on the mountain, from tents to cook tents. Everything like that is all very well. We replace this a lot of the time, and so you're not going to have holes in tents and things like that. Also, with meals, our chefs are trained, in food preparation. Hygiene is a big part of the mountain. So, when it comes to fresh fruit and vegetables, everything's washed and cleaned and purified in purified water. Our staffs are trained year-round to be able to cater for many different diet needs. So whether you're a vegetarian, vegan, things like that, we can, as long as we know ahead of time, we can plan for that on the mountain and be able to give you the appropriate meals that you do require. You know, also with our being part of the Porters Association of Tanzania, this makes sure that all of our staff, from your porters to your support staff, are all paid properly, have the right equipment on the mountains. You know, this is a big thing on Kilimanjaro, where a lot of people can cut costs and, you know, and not treat their porters and their support staff the way that they should be treated. So basically, you know, we pay our porters. We include all of the tips for all the support staff, from, you know, your chefs to your, you know, your waiters to your porters that carry your big bags. They're all paid. They're all included in the tips, so you don't have to worry about tipping out all of those staff. As well as we have very strict weight limits for our porters and our guides, so we do not overload our staff. Everyone is weighed in properly through this, and we really stick by the Porters Association project. Also, we have a great ratio from staff to guest ratio. So basically, it's 1 to 4. So for every one climber, there's a support staff of 4, which is great when, you know, we're dealing with if someone needs to stay behind at a camp, if someone's walking a little slower, if we need, you know, extra things brought up the mountain. This is a very great ratio, and it really sort of does help with the group. And saying that, that's why when you put all these things together, that's why we have such a high success rate of 98%. You know, most people and most other companies on Kilimanjaro have only about a 25 to 50% ratio of getting people to the summit. But with all the years experiences that we have and all of our guides, this is why our ratio of 98% is so high. And also having that high staff ratio on the trip gives us the flexibility of that. If we need to, you know, change up a route, we need to keep people behind, we can be able to do that. So this is, you know, some of the key points why you should travel with Mountain Travel Sobek. Okay, as you can see here, from this is a typical camp setup. You have our mountain hardwood mountaineering tents, so they are fantastic, because you never know the weather you're going to get on the mountain. You might get wind, you might get rain, you might get snow, or you might get a beautiful day like the one is here. So the tents can handle any of those conditions. They're going to keep you warm. They're like a 3-person tent. Usually we have, you know, maximum of 2 people in there. We also supply a cot to sleep on, and then your sleeping bag. And then throughout the camp, we'll have it nicely set up where we have a big cook tent. We also have a dining tent, and then one of the key components of a Kilimanjaro hike is the toilet tent. Now, the toilet tent only gets set up in our camps. During the day when you're out hiking, it's nature. Nature stops along the way, but when you do get into camp, everything is set up for you. So after you've had a big day on the mountain, you get into camp, and there's no worry about having to put up your tent and things like that. You're going to walk in, and this is what you're going to find. Everything's set up for you. Your bag, your big bag, is already in your tent. So it makes it very easy and very comfortable. And so when you get into camp, your cook staff will bring you a hot basin of hot water at your tent, so you can have a bit of a rinse off or wash the face. Unfortunately, we don't have showers on the mountain, because, as I said, everything is carried on and off the mountain for Mountain Travel Sobek. So to have that much water, it's just impossible to bring it. So we do our best with providing a hot basin of water in the morning, and then once you get into camp, so you can get that sort of fresh feeling. But the good thing about it is everyone's in the same situation of not having a shower on the mountain. Okay, as you can see here, this is this is our dining tent. You can see it's very warm. You're out of the, if it's windy, you're out of the wind. Everyone comes together when it comes, if it's snack time or if it's you know, dinner time. Everyone's had a great day on the mountain, so it's nice to come and sit down and have all your meals together, to be a group, to check in on everybody, and this is a great time for our guides to sit down and talk with everybody, notice who's eating, who's not eating, and really sort of sit down and have that really team effort with everybody. As I said, with safety precautions, we do have a little device that reads your red blood cell levels, and so this is when our guides do it. So we do it in the morning for breakfast. We pass it around the table to make sure everyone's feeling okay and reading what their red blood cells are. All right, and then also in the evening. So that way the guides can keep an eye on, and meanwhile the guides are keeping an eye on who's doing what, how people are feeling, and you really need to be upfront with your guides on a trip like this, because if you're not feeling well, you just let them know, and they might slow you down. They might hold you back on a camp day. So it really sort of is best to be honest with the staff before things get too bad and they have to pull you off the mountain. Again, all you can see, all the meals are served in this tent. So we have chairs set up, comfortable chairs. You have a full kitchen there, and you'll have the staff that bring in all your delicious meals, and it's all done together there in a warm, cozy little tent. Okay, and as you can see, it's just another picture of the different terrain that you will come along, and just a good example of our guides looking up, seeing what's happening on the mountain, if things are changing, if weather's coming in. Our guides are communicating with the rangers, the national park rangers, with our office in Arusha. Every day they report in, so we know what's happening on the mountain throughout the time, and our guides are capable of changing routes if needed, due to either rock slides or weather coming in, wind. We have that capability of being able to do that and knowing the mountain back, like the back of their hand. So it really is important. Another reason why Mountain Travel Sobek has such a great reputation on the mountain. Okay, this is a great example of the elevation that you will be going through on Kilimanjaro. As you can see, we start off with just under 6,000 feet at our Arusha camp, which gives us a great chance to get acclimatized before starting the climb. And as you can see, we're really sort of, you'll get to hear a saying, poli poli. You'll hear it throughout your climb, and it basically means slow, slow. And that's our biggest thing. Like, our guides set the pace from day one. You might think you're walking very slow, but there's a reason why, but once you get to day 3 and 4, you'll kind of appreciate why you are walking so slow. You don't have great distances on this trip, but the altitude really does play a key, and this is why our guides, are the best. They're not there's no one running ahead or anything like that. They keep it nice and slow, and as I said, you'll just keep hearing poli poli. So, as you can see, we do have an acclimatization day at the Arrow Camp. This is a great day to either, rest, or then, head up for a smaller hike to head up a little bit for half a day and then come back down to that camp. Again, we're flexible, so if some of the group wants to go for a short hike that day, or some just want to, rest around camp, it's completely up to you and what the guide feels the group can do. And then our final night is at the Crater Camp, which a lot of people question, like, why are we camping so high on the last night? This, for us, is a key on getting people to the summit. Yes, it is true that it is hard to sleep at the higher altitudes, but when our guests can be in bed nice and early, and they get to sleep through pretty much the whole night in a warm tent, even if you're resting in that warm tent, you're not getting up at 11 p.m., which a lot of the other hikers do when they come in through other trails, and you're hiking to get to the summit between 6 to 8 hours. Where we have to the summit is probably about a 2 to 3 hour hike. So we get to rest in bed until early in the morning when our guides come with our hot basin of water and a tea and coffee, and then we set off for our 2 to 3 hour hike. And usually we are the first group up to the summit, while the other groups are coming up the other side. They've still got a long way to go, and they're pretty exhausted after doing 6 to 8 hours to get to the summit. So for us, it has worked really well for our groups, and this is why we choose the Crater Camp over other camps at a lower altitude. Okay, so dates and pricings. So for 2018, we have over 8 trips throughout the year that we're offering. We also can do private as well as specialized climbs. So if you have a group that's interested in doing a climb and you want it just to be your special organization, we're more than happy to put that together and have great capabilities of being able to do that and flexibility with permits on the mountain. As I said, this one here, we're really sort of pushing for our September 17th departure. That is a giving back trip. And we'd love to have you join us on this departure. But if you can't get on this departure, we have plenty of other departures that you can choose from. And as you can see, the climb only pricing here does start at $5,295. And then you will notice a big hefty park fees. This is something that the national park require, and all that money does go to the national parks of Tanzania. It's something that we don't add anything onto. It's just what they charge to be on the mountain, to where we're staying, how many support staff and all that come into play. So that's something that we're supporting, and it is helping a big difference to keep Kilimanjaro clean and the trails maintained and things like that. Also, we have a great extension. So we do have offer a Kilimanjaro and safari. A lot of people want to go to Kilimanjaro and then celebrate afterwards and go on. Why not go on safari? Because that's what Africa is also known for. So we have a great 5-day package that includes the Ngorongoro Crater and the Serengeti National Park. And also we'll be staying at the MTS Deluxe camps. So we all have our own private camps in these two areas that you will have exclusive use of doing. We also can do, if you're looking at just relaxing, and on Zanzibar, beautiful beach island off the coast of Tanzania, we can do a few nights out there if you're interested in. And also another popular extension is our gorilla trekking in Rwanda or Uganda. But for more information, please call Hillary. Hillary is an Africa specialist here, and her information's on the bottom here as well, and she'll be more than happy to give you any more other details that she'll be able to help with. And you can, as I said, you can reach her on those numbers or by email, and she'll be more than happy to help you. If Hillary's not around, we work very closely together, so I'm more than happy to speak with you as well. I'd like to thank you very much, and now I'd like to open up to any questions anyone may have about our Kilimanjaro programs. Okay, we're getting some questions in now. Okay, this is a good question. All right, do you require a visa for Tanzania? Yes, you do. If you're a U.S. citizen, you will require a Tanzania visa, which is just a simple process. You can get that on arrival into Tanzania. It will cost you $100 US cash. That's to be paid cash only at your entrance point. You can get it ahead of time, but it does take a lot longer, and also it costs more money. So it's best to just get it straight on arrival when you arrive into the Kilimanjaro International Airport. Okay, here we got another one coming in here about gear. Yes, this is a big question that we do get asked a lot. What gear do we supply? What gear is needed? So on this Kilimanjaro trip, we do supply all the camping equipment. So you have your tents and your cots, things like that. A lot of everything else you will be required to bring, but we also do offer things that you can rent. So if you don't have a good winter sleeping bag, you can rent that from us in Tanzania. Also, you can, and the sleeping pad also is provided, so you don't have to bring that. But I do recommend that you bring hiking poles. Unfortunately, we can't rent those in Tanzania, and it's one thing that, if anything, I do recommend you bringing some poles for the trip. But from sleeping bags, from good winter jackets, if you don't have it, you can rent them, and we do have a list of all of our packing gear and what we can rent and what we don't rent on our pre-trip document that we do send out to you. But the biggest thing is also a good pair of hiking boots. whether they're a full big heavy hiking boot to a low hiking boot. You want something that you're comfortable with, which you've hiked in, what you will be able to wear big woolen warm socks in as well, because on the mountain you can go through a number of different weather where it could be raining, you could be walking through snow, so you want to be able to keep those boots nice and dry, because there's nothing worse than getting into your boots when they're wet in the morning. Okay, let's see. Oh, sorry, we just have another one come in. So how do you prepare for a trip like this? Great question. Okay, so throughout this trip we have some great guidelines that Hillary will be able to send out to you, but we really want to make sure that that you are right for this trip. So we do screening for everyone on this trip to make sure that you're doing the right preparation, you're fit, and you're mentally prepared for a trip like this, because it is an ultimate challenge trip. So we will need a doctor to sign off on your health as well for this trip. You should also check out our blog. It has great content about like how to train and how to prepare for your trip. And also, again, our pre-trip documents will list some helpful hints as well. But really sort of check out the blog, and they'll be able to go through some great contents there. Okay, do we have any other questions? Oh, we got another one in here. Okay, so vaccinations, another good question that we do get asked a lot. So the good thing with Tanzania, nothing is required, but we do have recommendations. A lot of people do ask us about Diamox, which is basically helps you with altitude, and then also malaria. It's something that these two different tablets here, it's best to speak with your doctor, because they can have some side effects. So it's really great. Before you go on a trip, you do have to go to the doctor, so you should definitely ask them about those sort of medications. And also the good thing is you don't need yellow fever shots unless you're coming through Kenya. You will need a yellow fever certificate, but to get in, if you're just coming straight to Tanzania, you won't need that. We also recommend that you have your tetanus, hepatitis A and B shots up to date as well. Okay, I believe we got any more questions? Okay, I believe that's it. I want to thank everyone for joining us today. And as I said, if you have any more questions or want to chat more, please reach out to us. And we look forward to having you on the mountain with us at MTS. Thank you very much.